Have you seen the new Netflix documentary, American Nightmare?
They take DNA samples and they tell me that they have to take my clothes. They hand me a pair of pants and a shirt. And I look down at these pants and it says Solano County Prison.
If you could, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we can get more viewers watching just like you. This is something that we learned in Criminal Law 101 in law school. The Fifth Amendment tells you when you get in the situation and you become custodially interrogated like this young man is, you say, I want to talk to my attorney. As soon as that happens, they're done. They can't ask you questions about anything. The interrogation stops. If you're in the situation, you ask for an attorney, this all goes away, and then you don't self-incriminate yourself.
You're now in the police station, talking to police, telling them your story.
We're talking about swim goggles blacked out with tape, headphones giving instructions, intruders that are in full body wetsuits. I mean, when do you hear about things like this?
Said that there was going to be video recording to monitor to make sure that I don't contact anyone.
Detective Matt Mustard basically glazes over the incident at the house and starts asking about our relationship.
He starts asking questions about Denise and, oh, you guys were having problems, and the tone starts to change.
He leans back in his chair and he tells me, I don't think you're being truthful. I don't think anybody came into your house.
The story you're telling here, I ain't buying it all. You got to think about how this is all going to play out. There ain't no frogmen came into your house. Nobody dressed in wetsuits or... It didn't happen.
Mustard even brings up the Lacey Peterson case.
Did you watch the Lacey Peterson, Scott, whatever the hell his name was? Did you watch that story in the Public out of Modesto?
I came home and called Mom, and Lacey wasn't there, and no one had seen her.
Scott Peterson famously murdered his wife Lacey in kind of the same general area, Central California. She and her unborn baby were eventually recovered in the San Francisco Bay.
You look at that and you go, that dude's a lying son of a bitch. That's the way people will look at you.
Motive and opportunity. Those are the two Police 101. What do you need for a crime?
I mean, did she like discover something?
Well,
I mean, was she like going through your phone and like, you know, what the hell is
she
this?
went through my phone.
What'd she find?
Found text messages.
What did it say?
That me saying I still cared, that I want to work things through with her.
Is there tension in the relationship? Is she mad?
I mean, she's upset.
Concerned?
Okay.
Is she cheating?
No, well, she felt that emotionally that was cheating in some sense. I had then talked to my ex, and at that time when I was still dating Denise.
Aaron admits that they've had tension in their relationship, so you can sort of understand why police might be a little bit suspicious.
They also are going to look at him as a suspect because he is the closest person and the last person to have seen Denise alive.
So who did it now? Well, it's the guy that I've been sitting here talking to tonight. So now I get out my puzzle pieces and I start figuring out, okay, how do I make it so you look like a monster?
Motive, she caught him emotionally cheating. She went through his phone. He got mad. Opportunity, he was there.
While this is going on with him, his parents and his brother are at the police station. They grilled his parents.
We were telling him what a good kid he was. They kept asking, has he ever gotten angry? Has he done drugs? As a teenager, he was easy. He was the quarterback for the high school. He got voted as the boy of the year. They really, really did not want to hear that.
So motive and opportunity is there. So now, who else has motive opportunity? Nobody. Wild goose chase. So what do the police naturally do? They're going to go all the way down that rabbit hole as far as they can to figure out if he's the guy.
They had already decided he had killed her.
They said maybe we're in a fight and I pushed her down the stairs. Maybe we're experimenting with drugs. Maybe we're experimenting with prescription drugs. Maybe we're into weird sex things and something went wrong.
I don't think this happened intentionally. I think something happened, accidental, and you got to the point where you reacted the way that you did and you had to come up with this story.
They were trying to get him to make the simplest concessions. You and her weren't getting along.
Listen to me.
You're a good guy, but you lost your temper. You killed her and threw her in the bay.
Not only do they tell you they don't believe you, they say, we think you killed her.
Yes. I acknowledge, I'm like, this sounds like it's a movie. I know it sounds bizarre.
Before they take you to jail and they do what they did to this guy, you have a right to remain silent. And you want to evoke that right to remain silent. And I think other attorneys have said, well, what do? You say, I don't answer questions. Okay, well, now you're a suspect, right? So what are they going to do? They're going to do exactly what they did here anyways. They're going to say, hey, well, we need you to come down to the station and answer some questions. When does this come up? When they make a stop and you're not free to leave, they have to give you Miranda if they want to interrogate you. And that's going to tell you a few things. You know, you have the right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. Boom. You should take those. When you get to that position and they're reading your Miranda rights, do that. It's when you're not free to leave. So that's why you hear attorneys, they say, you should ask, am I free to leave? If you ask that and they say no, then you're likely in being interrogated. You're probably just going to get a ticket. You're probably just going to, the police are just going to carry on with whatever they think that you've done if you don't cooperate. But when it gets to the point where you're in custody and you are being interrogated, that should trigger lights going off in your brain that you need to do something, and that is you need to invoke your right to an attorney. Now, this doesn't come up in certain situations, like at a routine traffic stop. If you're having, I guess, a probation interview and your probation officer is talking to you, you're probably not being detained. You're probably not in custody. You are just having a conversation with a police officer. But what you can do is you can just remain silent and just see where it goes from there. Let's say you're a little kid and you come home, there's a vase broken in the living room. It was your brother. Your parents, they ask you and they say, well, your brother was at football practice. Well, where were you when this happened? Brother has lied all the way down the road and you're telling the truth. Well, in America, you can just remain silent. We know that people lie. We know that people don't always tell the truth, and we need evidence. We need evidence to prove it. Sixth Amendment, this becomes the third step of it when you become arrested or you become charged with a crime and formal legal proceedings have started. And what happens then is you can invoke your right to an attorney at that point. But when you do that, that's only specific to the crime, specific to that offense. So if they arrest Aaron, let's just say hypothetically they did that for kidnapping, and then he invoked his Fifth Amendment, or hopefully he did his Fifth, but then also his Sixth Amendment right to an attorney. Then at that point, they could ask him about other offenses, but they could no longer ask him about whatever they charged him with. And if they do that, then they're violating the Sixth Amendment. And what can happen is a police officer comes up to someone and says, hey, we've suspected this person as the person who committed the crime. Is this who you saw? Like, yeah, we've seen that person. And is he in the courtroom? And she points to Aaron. She says, yeah, that was him, even though it was late or whatever, and it was somebody else. Him having this kind of a bizarre story that's not very believable. And they have the motive and opportunity coupled with that. You have everything going in the wrong direction for him. So if you don't have an alibi, like Aaron in his situation, you're just better off right off the get-go thinking, as soon as I can, I'm going to invoke my right to speak to my attorney. But that's the situation you have to understand, is that police officers don't have to be honest when they're interrogating. They're going to look to the closest people to the crime with motive and opportunity. If you've enjoyed this video, click on the video right here.